Good evening. Thank you guys so much for waiting. As usual, we had technical issues. So this time it wasn't me that was late, though. So I do have to point that out. It's always me that's late. So it was
It's
not me this
true.
time. It's all Tara.
It was
And-
my fault.
But so thank you guys for hanging out in the chat and waiting. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Tara has done an awful lot of work on what is going to be covered in this live this evening. Obviously, we've worked together, but she's done a lot of work on this. So she's going to be presenting most of this tonight. And then I will be able to monitor the chat, hopefully, get your questions and get those answered if we can, and things like that. So, ready when you are, Tara.
Okay, well, as we kind of promised, we're going to go through a few things. We're going to go through that article, and I think we all know what we are talking about. That it was put out there a couple days ago. A lot of emotions about it. So we are going to go through it tonight. We are going to read it. We are going to show it on the screen. And so if you're not comfortable with the information that's out there, because it's not exactly friendly, just take caution as we take that on this evening. We're going to talk about Paul Grice and some arrest info. There's not a whole lot of new stuff there, but we do have permission to share a photo with you. It's not super exciting, but still very interesting. The search warrants are out. We are going to bring those to you. We're going to go with those at a high level, give you an idea of what was searched and what was seized. And we're not going to read through those documents because there's 13 of them, and one of them is 13 pages long. So we're bringing you the high level version of that. And then we're coming back to Kevin McIntire. We are going to round right back to him. I think we might be able to put him in a bucket. So we'll get into that later on. And then, of course, as we always do, chat response. We're going to be engaging with you guys the entire time. So just come up with your questions. If you've had some reflections, feel free to share those. But ultimately, tell us what you think. So with that, oh, and just a shameless plug, because I had some space to put up, subscribe and like Carrie's channel, because it's been awesome to be a part of this channel. Lots of great videos out there. And you'll get, once you're subscribed, you get notifications of all the lives. So shameless plug just for fun, because what else are we going to do?
Right. Thank you.
So here's the article again. Caution, because the material shared and discussed regarding this article can be very alarming and upsetting. So please take that in mind. I think, nope, come back. I'm trying to, Carrie, how do I pull up? I thought I had this article embedded in there. Can I, how do I do that?
Let's see the AOL article.
Uh-huh.
Let me see if I can pull that up real quick.
Okay. Carrie is way better at this than I am. Okay. For those of you in the chat, hello. I see a bunch of you that I know, and I see some new folks. Hello, Lynn. Thank you to our mods. Makes a big difference. So we've got the, thanks, yep, we've got the source. It's just a matter of sharing it so we can both see it. And I thought I had embedded it on here so it would work. Just still new and different to all this stuff. So we will get there. But while she's doing that, I can actually start reading it because I do have it on a different tab. I don't know how to share my screen to make that happen, but Carrie can teach me all those tips and tricks when we get there. So she's doing that. I'll go ahead and get started on the article. And the title of the article is Grisly New Details Emerge from Oklahoma Panhandle Double Murder Investigation. And this article came from the Oklahoman. It was written by Nolan Clay, and it was released on published May 20th. Now there's a picture in there. It's the same picture you see on the screen right now. And that is a photo of the pasture land in the Oklahoma Panhandle. It's where the bodies of the two women, Jilian and Veronica, were located. And they were buried there. They were found there, rather, on April 14th. Oh, look, Carrie's working her magic. So the photo was included in the search warrant records. That is true. We have those search warrants. Those photos are in there. And then those records were filed with the Texas County Clerk. And so the article reads, and I don't know if everybody can see it. I can't, but that's nothing new when it comes to me and StreamYard. We fight often, so we're just going to keep fighting, but I'll just keep reading. So the search for the two missing Kansas women ended gruesomely April 14th in the Oklahoma Panhandle at the end of a 2-day excavation of a possible burial site in a cow pasture. The Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, or OSBI, revealed in new court records that a chest freezer was found during the excavation and it was opened. Inside were the bodies of Veronica, Butler, and Jilian Kelley, who had been missing since March 30th. The OSBI also revealed in the new court records that personal items were located in the hole after the bodies were removed. And these items did not belong to Butler or Kelley, and an OSBI agent wrote. This information was not released to the public either. The investigation into the disappearances resulted in first-degree murder charges against a grandmother, Tiffany Adams, and 3 others even before the bodies were found. A 5th person has since been charged. All 5 murder defendants have been described in court affidavits as members of an anti-government group called God's Misfits. Prosecutors allege they killed the 2 women because of a child custody dispute. Butler, 27, had come from Kansas to pick up her 2 children from Adams, their paternal grandmother. Butler had planned to take them to a birthday party. Kelley, 39, a pastor's wife, was along to supervise her visit. Adams and Butler were in a problematic custody battle over the children, and that's what the OSBI would reveal earlier. The grandmother had been taking care of the children for months at her home in Keys. Adams, after her arrest, made statements to law enforcement indicating she was responsible for the deaths. The OSBI revealed in April. The bodies were found on property leased to her boyfriend, Tad Burt Cullum, to graze cattle. The case has attracted national media attention. The new details are contained in search warrant records filed in Texas County District Court last week. Associate District Judge Clark Jett on Wednesday refused a defense request to seal the records from the public. The burial site is described in the records as 8.5 miles from where Butler's abandoned vehicle was found, west of an intersection on a highway. Seized as evidence at the burial site were Wrangler blue jeans. Now, that's not Wrangler as in the person, that's Wrangler, the brand. Sweatshirts, t-shirts, a black jacket, cloth gloves, ball caps, duct tape, and a sheathed black KA bar knife. Now, if I say that incorrectly, please let me know. And the records, that's what the new records revealed. All were described as with possible blood, quote unquote. Also seized were a black saw handle, 2 ratchet straps, a black taser, flashlight, and electrical cord, and small black tape. Adams, 54, faces 2 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of kidnapping, and 1 count of conspiracy to commit murder. She was charged April 12th in Texas County District Court. Charged the same day were Cullum, 43, of Keys, and a married couple, Cole Earl Twombly, 50, and Cora Twombly, 44, of Texoma. Charged April 24th was Paul Jeremiah Grice, 31, of Keys. The OSBI reported in a court affidavit he has confessed to his involvement in the killings and the burial. Their attorneys have not made any public comments about the accusations. Defense attorneys and prosecutors are now prohibited by judicial order from speaking about the cases outside of court. The new documents do not reveal how the 2 women have passed. Oklahoma's chief medical examiner has said only that they were not shot. The freezer containing their bodies is the kind that has a lid on top, commonly known as a deep freezer. The OSBI did disclose in the new documents that Grice had been seen on March 30th and 31st with a bandaged right hand. A witness told the OSBI that Grice had asked him on April 17th how long DNA would last on clothing in the dirt in a hole 15 feet deep, according to one affidavit. Grice also asked about how to get a guy and his family into Mexico. The OSBI revealed in the new documents that Twombly's had 2 cell phones in the pickup they were driving at the time of their arrest. The OSBI reported information related to location services and phone usage show both cell phones had been at the abduction site March 30th and then at the burial site. Adams had purchased these cell phones and a 3rd cell phone February 13th at a Walmart in Guyman, the OSBI reported. So that is the article. And some of that information you're going to hear again in the search warrants when we start going through those. So lots to take in on that one. That is some real Michael Myers stuff. It's definitely interesting. Texas Roasted, it's also known as a chest freezer. I've not heard it called that before, but that does not surprise me at all. But any thoughts on that before we move on? It's just kind of one of those articles that just kind of is unnerving. Just when you think you've heard it all, stuff like this comes out. Let me check. I think my chat, make sure I'm on. What do you guys think? Was it stated they had dirt in their lungs? Not in that particular article. It has not. Nothing's been stated to
No,
that
I don't think we've
effect.
seen anything come out that's like factual about that. There's been
Mhm.
rumor of that, but nothing that's factual.
Yeah. Was the family notified before this came out? So I'm
I
going to
don't think
say,
so.
I don't know. There was information, Carrie, that if you remember we've kept it quiet on our end that seemed to suggest they had some knowledge. I don't know if they had specific knowledge because we'll see here in a second when these search warrants were dated. And so it would not surprise me if family members had some details, but not all
Oh,
of them.
yeah, so for that, they do, yes. Family knows, like, the cause of death, they probably have
Mhm.
most all this information, but I don't think they were prepared for this article to come out yesterday.
Nope, I don't think so either. Not at all. Jacqueline, I think that is a sentiment that many of us are going to share.
Yes.
It just makes you ask all kinds of questions, right? That's the emotional side. The logistics of it is what our law enforcement friends are taking care of. And so, with that, we're going to move on to Paul Grice. Now, we've all seen the photo on the left. That is his mugshot, as happy as he looks. Now, there's been a lot of questions about was Paul questioned and released prior to the arrest? I've heard that he was. I've heard that he was not. Was he present at Tad's arrest? I will tell you that in the arrest or in the search warrant, there is a statement in there that says Tad was present when Paul was present when Tad was arrested. I'm confused by that. He was mentioned in the affidavits, the arrest affidavits for the other four. I'm confused on that one. I don't know, but what do you think, Carrie? Oh, she's on mute.
Yeah, I was on mute,
Yeah,
sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't understand the being questioned and then released. Like, that's kind of unusual for them to do that, but
yeah. I don't know. I think there's more details on that one that we're going to get yet, so I'm going to hang tight before I get into any of that. He was, and that's when they saw he had a bandaged pinky.
wasn't that at the Easter,
Yeah,
thing that
he was
he was
spotted in
seen?
several places, family
Mhm.
functions, the Easter pageant that is a community event between several groups, not just a single church event. So there's several reports of him having some sort of injury to his hand. I don't think it was unusual, and I believe they let him walk to let him talk and move. I I don't know. I have a hard time with it because I've heard varying reports and I've read the arrest affidavits, and so I'm not clear on it yet. So I'm not ready to say anything about Paul yet, other than he did surrender. There was several conversations that took place at what's been described as like family functions, special event functions, that type of thing, where he was some of the rhetoric that was stated in that article I've heard before to a certain degree. I've received a couple of different comments through some conversations that said that there was a change of heart, or he was convinced to surrendering, which is part of the confession that has been um, described several times in the affidavits and the search warrants. And so he did surrender himself at Four Corners. That's that picture you see on the top right of the screen. That is his truck that is at Four Corners. And so somebody happened to be passing by during the arrest. The driver did not realize what they were looking at the time. When it kind of clicked, they went back, and they had originally seen several law enforcement with guns pulled where those guns were pointed at. They did not say. They did say they saw a white male that was on his knees with his hands behind his back, and several law enforcement vehicles. And when the person went back to double check, they just saw this truck and they took a picture of the truck, and we were able to confirm that was four corners and that was the truck. And so that is what that is. And so he did surrender himself. He has confessed. The report I have there, the documents, the search warrants do say that he confessed. So I don't know what that means legally, but that's where it is on him. So I think we'll hear some more from him. I don't know how he's going to proceed with his legal strategies.
Yes,
But with
I'm
the
very
gag order in
curious
place,
about that part of it, of how he's gonna go about this, considering, we know that he filed those documents and stuff, so I think it'll be interesting.
I think so too. I'm very eager to see how this plays out with him. My thought is they possibly have more concrete evidence on the other four and maybe don't have enough on him prior to other things. That could be, but he confessed. They have his confession, but I don't know what a confession means for one of these people. For us, it seems cut and dry.
Yeah.
So he confesses to the deaths and the burial, not the abduction, notably. I don't think they, legally, it's an abduction, but as you're in the process of it, because of the definition of abduction or kidnapping per Oklahoma law, they weren't even thinking about that. I don't think he would have thought to say, yeah, I was there for the abduction. In his mind, they just ended their lives where the car was at, as far as he's concerned. Would the personal items be that they were found, I wonder? I'm not sure. Can you clarify that one? They might have, with the cut on his hand, they probably might have DNA. We're going to get into that in a second, Crunch. That's
Yeah,
in
I
the
think,
search
8 Foot
warrant.
was saying, what would the personal items be that were found?
Okay.
And we're gonna go over that too, so.
Yep. Yeah, we will go over that. It's in the search warrants. Anything else before we move on to those search warrants? Because there's 13 of them. It is senseless. And I think what's even more sad is that to everybody else, there's 300 some people in this live with us. There's 20,000 in the group, and everybody considers it to be senseless. But there's at least 4 people that did not think it was senseless. That's what's scary, is that there's
Yes.
people out there who don't see it as senseless. That's what captures my attention the most. And so, yep, I think that you can see that in the search warrants for sure. So we are going to move into those. So here we go. There's 13 search warrants. So I tried to break them all down as best I could. Again, some of this information you're going to find sensitive, especially this particular one. It just repeats what was said in that article. But the search warrant that was signed April 12th, 2024. Now, this was not the first search warrant signed. It's 1 or 2 days, or it's a couple of search warrants in, but I just posted this one first because it aligns with that article we just read. So the property owned by Jamie Beasley and leased by Tad Cullum for grazing cattle was searched. And that's during the excavation. That's what that search warrant is for, is to excavate property. Because the OSBI agent, when he was on the property, because they had the cell phones, they knew to look there, and he found what appeared to be some dirt that had been disturbed, moved. So that's what caused them to go get the search warrant. If you read the search warrants, you'll see them. So 24 different items were seized, and you can read them there. Now that first one says USB drive of dig site photographs, evidence, and Faro files. I think maybe Carrie can tell you more about the Faro files. I'm not sure what that means, but the USB drive, that's going to hold all those photos they took while they did the excavation. So it's not as though they found a USB drive in there. They created one based off the search. So Wrangler blue jeans, again, that is the brand, not the guy. Wrangler blue jeans with a black belt, maybe with possible blood on it. Brown sweatshirt with possible blood. Black hooded sweatshirt with possible blood. Wrangler blue jeans again with possible blood. Reddish pink hooded sweatshirt with possible blood. Roll of duct tape with possible blood. Pair of white Ariat socks with possible blood. Gray t-shirt with possible blood. Black handle of saw. 8 wet swabs. 1 ratchet strap. Carhartt black jacket with possible blood. Cloth glove with possible blood. Black K-bar knife in sheath with possible blood. Gray ball cap with possible blood. Blue-white ball cap with possible blood. Red pair of cloth gloves. A pair of cloth gloves with possible blood. Blue-gray Skechers tennis shoes with possible blood. Tan Ariat shoes with possible blood. If I'm saying that incorrectly, let me know. black taser flashlight, gray Dickies t-shirt with possible blood, electrical cord, and small black tape. Agree, Britt, not bright at all.
Lots of clothing. Wow.
Yeah, and so it kind of sounds to me that maybe our the 5 that are being housed at the taxpayers' expense in Oklahoma changed their clothes and tried to bury all the evidence as much as they could, because there's a couple different outfits mentioned in there.
I'm curious as to the electrical cord and black tape, what that's about. The ratchet strap was probably to hold that freezer shut, I would think.
I would imagine so. Yeah, the black tape, that would be very curious. I imagine the only thing to come up with, as gruesome as it's going to sound, is to bind Jilian and Veronica in order to get them into the freezer.
That's kind of what I thought as well.
And so it's not fun to think about,
Mm-mm.
but this was found. So if you read the search warrant, when they did the excavation, they found the freezer first. It was under the cement. So the cement was under dirt. Dirt was under some hay. And so underneath the freezer is where they found a lot of this stuff. Yeah, electrical tape to bind. If they just imagine it's one of those grab what you can type of things, you'd be surprised. I've got a family member that's made some bad decisions, and from what I understand, you just go for what's there, whatever's available. So it's not as though they're professionals. We figured that out.
No, not at all.
But this is the stuff that was under, if I remember the search warrant, it was under the freezer. So if you are not familiar with the deep freeze, they're huge. They can be very, very large. And so it was a large hole. I've gotten varying reports on how deep a skid steer can dig, because that was mentioned in the search warrants, as well as a skid steer is what was used to dig the hole. I don't know. So yeah, that's one of the affidavit, or that's one of the, I'm going to keep screwing it up because I'm so used to saying affidavits. That's one of the search warrants. Tape is the stupidest thing to use. Lots of fingerprints and trace. Again, Lisa, we're not talking about a bunch of professionals, are we? They were professionals,
I mean, thankfully they made so many mistakes that it made these arrests fairly easy.
Well, it makes you wonder just how delusional they were about their ability to do something this sloppy. So 8 wet swabs. I don't even know what those swabs really mean.
I don't either. Like, I was thinking maybe like baby wipe type thing, but I'm not
could
sure
be.
what they mean by wet swabs.
It could, brain scientists. Hee-haw. That's awesome. Anyone found where they got the deep freeze? It's probably, you know what, those things are a dime a dozen. So I don't know yet. I haven't even gotten into the professional idiots. Britt, I'm not saying you're my favorite in the chat room, but I don't dislike you for sure. So the wet swab would be DNA. I'd have to go back and look. I'll look at that. Yep, that's a good point. Can definitely look at that. Yes, I was just going to tell you to pull that one up. They're all a mini right short of a happy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, yep, I've heard that. A skid steer, even the biggest, can only dig 5 feet deep. So I'm curious if maybe if people have been calling it the wrong thing, because that's what I have heard. I don't know. But I don't know how, I mean, we've heard varying reports at the depth of the hole too.
Crunch.
I wonder if we know the butcher, I need to know who you're talking about when you say butcher, knows where they got the deep freeze.
She's talking about cook.
I want to make sure that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
so
I
know the
she's talking
confusion
about
lives,
cook.
but
yeah, so, he might know where they were able to get a deep freeze. I don't know.
Very likely. Yeah. So I don't know. That's where we're at with that first warrant. Yeah, had his work for, well, unfortunate job security, which is gross. But what do you know about the number 1 statement? The top one, the number 1 listed, the USB drive, dig site photos. So that USB drive was created by law enforcement. When they take a site like this and they start doing excavation, they're going to take photos. And those photos are considered to be evidence. That evidence is going to be stored on that USB drive. So that's what's considered, that's what that is. And so that would fall in line with the what swabs. I'll have to go back and read through that search warrant a little bit more closely, but hoping that's what you're, yes, okay, cool. That is what Texas Rose was talking about. I have no idea. All this is so disturbing. Yeah, I know it is, Jen. I hate that this is how we go through it, but fortunate thing is you don't test everything. You have to pick and choose regardless. A grim job. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. So I'm gonna, and just so you know that these two images are directly from the search warrant. So that's not something I put together. I just pulled them off there and did a copy and paste because it was easier than typing all of that out. I'd had enough typing by this point. So moving on. So actually back April 3rd was the first search warrant, and it was for an iPhone that was seized from Eloy Torres on April 3rd, 2024. If you are not familiar, Eloy Torres is the owner of a cell phone type of techie repair shop thing. I can't remember the name of it. It doesn't matter. But on that phone, so they seized the phone. So when you look at these arrest warrants or search warrants, they go through all the story all over again to convince a judge as to why they should be allowed to search. So they get this phone and they go through it and they pull 60.1 gigabytes of data from phone extraction. The search warrant does not tell you what was pulled in that data. It just tells you how much data. That's it. So then on April 5th, now these are the dates that the search warrants were signed. An iPhone was seized from Kobe White. So that iPhone, I will tell you from reading the search warrant, it was the daughter who reported, who's mentioned in the affidavits. It was that cell phone. So it is seized and approximately 206 gigabytes of data from the forensic examination of the blue iPhone seized from Kobe White. So he had to turn it over on behalf of his daughter. That is my understanding. So that's the first thing we have is cell phone data. Now, if you remember, we've talked about in the past, there was a phone situation that Tiffany took a phone in, what would appear to be a burner phone in, to have repaired. And this
Another
is now,
dumb decision of hers.
Yeah, wait for it, because it's not the only one she took in there. There's two search warrants for two phones that were seized from Eloy Torres, if I remember putting this all together. So yeah, but yeah, that's how they figured out, that's how they found the first burner phone. And when they searched the model number, they found out where it was sold from, which was the Walmart in Guyman. And they found that at the time that particular burner phone was sold at the Walmart in Guyman, two others were sold along with it. And there you have is when they just started off on a whole idea of when you pull this information, you can pull data points where the phone's pinged at. And this is how they knew to go look at Beasley's place. So when we move on to the next set, there's a lot on this one. So each dark black bullet point is one search warrant, and this is the DNA samples that they took from Tiffany, from Tad, from Cora, and that's supposed to say Cole, not Cora. I thought I fixed that. That's my bad. So just pretend that says Cole Earl Twombly is what it's supposed to say. I'm so good at this stuff. So they took the DNA sample. It's a buccal sample, a buccal swab. It's just a mouth swab. That's all that means. And it says they seized. They wanted the swab. They got the swab. That's all it says. Each time you read the search warrant, you see the story repeated over and over and over again because that's how they do that. Betsy White's Kobe White is who? That is the 16-year-old Cora Twombly's daughter, who is part of the affidavits for the arrest of the five that are sitting in doing their jailhouse rock right now. Thank you. Pharaoh is 3D imaging. Thank you, Lisa. I'm glad somebody told me that.
Yeah, and also I can confirm that hole that Tad dug was 10 to 15 foot deep.
Okay, that aligns with what I think I was reading in some of the person-to-person rhetoric in the search warrants, but it didn't ever say for certain. So it is an iPhone, but it's an iPhone. So when you look at the affidavits, one of the it'll identify one phone as a 13 Pro, but they're identifying a burner phone as something they bought from Walmart, not just any old. You can get a type of iPhone it's not an iPhone 13 or anything like that. They're really cheap from Walmart. At least they look like an iPhone and perform like an iPhone. But the phones in the affidavits are identified as iPhones. They're just called burner phones. I don't think there's anything to those specifically. Eloy Torres is the shop owner. He owns the shop where Tiffany took the burner phone to have it repaired. And he was able to contact law enforcement to let them know he had a phone, didn't look like her normal phone, something was up, and that's how they were able to arrest Tiffany in Guyman. I thought Kobe was the girl's dad. Yes. Was the phone in his name, or am I confused? It doesn't say. It just says they seized the phone from him. So I don't know if it's because the daughter, CW, as she's been listed in affidavits, is a minor, or I don't know exactly how to. That's just what it says in the affidavits, that they seized the phone from him. That's all I got on that one. So signed April 17th was another search warrant for a 2009 Nissan Altima. It's white in color. On the search warrant, the Oklahoma tag is listed, the VIN number is listed. I didn't see any value in bringing that to this group. And it does belong to Tiffany Adams. From there, what they did, it says seized digital photographs taken of vehicle in context. So that is what they did when they got to the vehicle. They just took the photographs of the vehicle, and contents inside the contents were not listed as to what they were. At least not my quick review of it, because I was trying to do this very fast, clearly, which is why I have Cora listed twice. And another affidavit, or another search warrant signed April 17th, is a 1991 Chevy pickup, blue and gray in color. The tag and the VIN are listed. That one belonged to Cora and Cora Twombly. And if you remember in the arrest affidavits, a blue and gray pickup is mentioned. And so they did take possession of that. And from that search warrant, they gained digital photos of the vehicle and its contents. They grabbed a white iPhone, a black iPhone, and white cloth gloves. So I am going to say that just because it says iPhone, I don't know that that's what they really were. It could be they just look like iPhones. That's what they're calling them. They don't have to be specific in these devices. They just need to call it something. And if they look like an iPhone, that's probably what they called it. So now that I was thinking about that comment, yep, I don't know that these are official iPhones, but that's what has been used in the affidavits over and over again. And then signed April 17th, a white hotshot 33-foot gooseneck stock trailer with the VIN number listed. Taken from that were digital photos of the vehicle and its contents. They refer to the trailer as the vehicle. And then 8 wet swabs, so that probably is what they are for those who mentioned it before. 8 wet swabs were taken of BS1, BS2, BS3, and BS4. I'm not sure what the BS means before you guys ask me. Not sure at all. But that is, so they have the gooseneck trailer, they have Tiffany's vehicle, they have Cora and Cole's blue and gray pickup, and they've got some cell phones. This is all April 17th. Now keep in mind, the arrests were made prior to the April 14th discovery. And then I think, oh gosh, I don't remember the dates that they were actually arrested. Oh, thank you, Phoebe. That makes sense.
That does make
sense.
Thank you.
Phoebe's brilliant. I like Phoebe. That helps. They call prepaid phones burner. Yep. For example, Straight Talk phones sold at Walmart. You can purchase phones for Straight Talk. Yep, I agree. Yes, you certainly can.
You can get them from like dollar store. You know, lots of different places. So that's everywhere. What they're calling burners.
Okay, so we've got 8 swabs taken of between 4 different blood stains. That's awesome that somebody knew that. April 23rd. Thank you. If 14th was the arrest date, outstanding. Thank you. Is it Shayna? I'm going to go with Shayna. I'm going to pretend it's Shayna. You tell me. April 23rd search warrant that allowed for 2 cell phones to be seized from the blue Chevy truck with the OK tag listed. And on those, device number 1, again, they does not, these are now here they're calling them cell phones. In the previous affidavit, they called them iPhones. Keep that in mind. So the device, you don't have to verify or clarify which device it is. But the first device had 5.68 gigabytes of extraction data, and the second one had 38.4 gigabytes of extraction data. There was a DNA sample of a buccal swab and digital photos taken from Paul Jeremiah Grice, but they actually did not serve the warrant and nothing was seized. Keeping in mind, Grice was arrested on the 24th. So while they had the warrant to get his DNA, they didn't have to use it. Now, what does that mean? Maybe he gave it up willingly. Who knows? It's hard to say. Has it been said that a friend helped CW clean the vehicle? Haven't heard anything about that. Haven't seen anything about it either, Blonde. I'm not really sure.
I'm trying to get an answer on that take me just a minute though.
Oh, I will keep them entertained and occupied until you do. Okay, so April 26th, iPhone 13 Pro seized from Eloy Torres on April 9th, 2024. From that phone was 100 gigabytes of data from phone extraction. So I think that covers, let me make sure. Yep, that covers all 13 of the search warrants. Again, if you go through them, if you get a hold of them, you're going to see the same timeline of events. They have to do that with each search warrant. There's a couple differences, and a few of them, nothing dramatic, or if I come up with something, I can actually pull them right back up and give them a quick look, see. But there was really nothing mentioned in them that I thought was unique or outstanding from anything else that we'd already ever heard. Let's see if I can confuse myself over here. And what do you guys think? And then one search warrant I read says more than one pair of jeans, multiple t-shirts, sweatshirts, jeans. That's the same one I was talking about earlier, Patrick. Yep, that was the first one I talked about. The friend is mentioned in one of these search warrants. I'll have to look again.
Yeah, it's a lot of information to go through. When we received 13 of these, I was like, oh my gosh.
We just got them today, so we went through them quick, but I have them pulled up.
You did a wonderful job of putting this together rather than just having to show those, because they're so long and tons of documents. So you did great on this.
But thank you. Let me kind of skim through this real quick since I have it pulled up.
Traveling Teresa, that is the owner of the phone shop that Tiffany Adams took the burner phone to. So Lisa said that was in the search warrant. Her friend saw a possible blood stain when cleaning. Oh, man.
And that's the one specific for CW's phone, the one they took from Kobe. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, the affidavit only states CW, so I'm not real sure about the friend thing. To my knowledge, there's not. I didn't see it in any of the documents, but if some of you have, if you know which one, we'll definitely go back and look at that.
I'm still going through it real quick. See, they photographs, video, internet, web history, cookies, cache files, logs of incoming, outgoing phone calls. This is all the things they can get from it. Yeah, there are multiple phones. Yeah, definitely multiple phones.
Yeah, and when that information first came out about Eloy and what have you, and his name was brought up in our group, his family started getting threats. So we kept his name out of the group for that. We were asked to not let his name be put in there, just for his own safety at the time, and his kids and what have you.
Yes, then that's been one of those pieces of information that our team actually received from multiple sources. So we got the same story from more than one person, which was as far as who Eloy was and the cell phone, and so it was. I would disagree with that, Phoebe, because the initials do correspond with the initials of the name. So I don't believe that's what that is. I would make sense. And it could just be a coincidence that those are one and the same. But there is, and I'll say this, and I'll say it because in one of the affidavits, there's a slip, and more information about CW is provided than should have been. I'm kind of surprised it's not been redacted. Yeah. Yeah, okay. And yep, it's saying the same thing. I'm still looking through. Let me see.
Yes, CW is the minor daughter of Cora.
Mhm. They can't use her name because of her
Mhm.
being a minor, so her initials are used. But I do like the fact that it corresponds with cooperating witness. I think that is a much better way to do that, and I think
Right.
that's what should have been done to begin with. So I like where they're going with that. Yes. Yes, I think they did. I think that's in these search warrants, is that
Mhm.
the phones were, if you read through those, it's so much, and I could be wrong because there is 2 million words of information that to go through here. And so this is a very high level, very quick. What I wanted to bring to you guys tonight, especially with the delicacy of the information, is to tell you what they were allowed to search and what they got from the search. That's what I wanted to bring you guys tonight. So it's but if you guys can find the page that the friend is mentioned on, that would be awesome. We are let's not do that, RLT, if you don't mind. Let's not. This is a minor we're talking about, and it's just not. Um, it's not a good idea to bring minors into the situation. They've got enough going on with how they've been dragged into it by the adults who weren't looking out for them properly, as far as my opinion goes. So I want to be clear. We're not going to put out any minor names or talk of minors in any specificity at all. It's just
Yeah.
respectful. Absolutely. So,
Hello, sir says it's on page 4 of the pickup search warrant.
oh, the pickup search warrant. Let me go to that because I'm sitting here going cross-eyed. I'm like, where is it? Okay. And it's okay.
So page 4 of the
And that actually, that was such a bingo thing for who said that, because that's where they found, it looks like, cellular phone owned by Veronica Butler with the phone number listed, jewelry worn by Jilian Kelley, cellular phone owned by Kelley, Taurus handgun, silver slide, black handle loaded with full magazine. So they found the gun, the 2 cell phones, hollow point ammunition, 1 live round in the chamber of the gun, cloth holster, stun guns is how it says, oil, dry, or kitty litter used for liquid absorption. It appears that that is probably what was in the truck. Let's go down here to the reason why. And don't mind me as I kind of whisper out loud to myself. Communicate. Being part of an together. Cora would not be home in the morning. She woke up. They were going on a mission. CW awoke at approximately 10 a.m. Cora and Cole were not home. They came back around noon. Cora and Cole took a blue-gray Chevy pickup they owned and the blue flatbed pickup owned by Clint Twombly, returning the same vehicles. CW was told to clean the interior of the pickup. CW asked Cora what happened. Cora said things didn't go as planned, but they would not have to worry about Butler again. Let's see. CW was made to clean the interior of the blue and gray Chevy pickup. After Cora and Cole returned from mission, a friend of CW, identified and interviewed by OSBI and known as AH, assisted CW in cleaning the pickup and observed a stain on the carpet that she thought may be blood.
Wow.
Okay. Good call on that one. I said I did a high level of these, so good call.
Wow. So they involved another young person as well.
So I will get time to go through these a little bit more to see what is what helps develop the story. But that is you just kind of want to. That sucks. that absolutely sucks. Unbelievable.
Yes,
And
it
so
does. Thank you for pointing that out to us, for you
yes,
guys. Appreciate that.
that very much because we missed that today. So,
Mhm.
and we appreciate when you guys correct us, especially if you know exactly where we go look, so we can highlight it for our use later on. Because when we got these documents today, we were so excited. We opened them up, we're like, oh, good night. There is not enough coffee in the day for that. And so, yeah, it is. It's unbelievable what, but then you gotta wonder, like, how deep do they think these loyalties run? That people can just go around and do this kind of thing, and everybody will just cover up for everybody else to a certain degree. So, yeah, Betsy, agree. This is awful. Yep. Did Shayna ever tell me how to say her name? Am I saying it correctly? I need her to point that out again for me because I'm not sure. How did Ellie find Jillian's gun? Based on the affidavit here on the blue and gray pickup of Cora and Cole Twomley, it was there. They were brilliant enough to keep evidence hanging around the pickup, so it looks like the gun was there. One in the chamber that was filled with hollow point. It sounds like the 2 cell phones from Jilian and Veronica were there. Sounds like some jewelry was in there. So Chaina with the A? I'm
Chaina,
not Chaina? Chain.
Chaina,
Chain
Chaina.
with an A. Chaina. I'm gonna it'll take me a moment, but I like it. I'm gonna keep up with that. Thank you. Okay, so that's a lot. There's still a lot more to digest and delve into on that. But the next part I want to get into, I think will take some time. They did find a weapon. They were not the sharpest criminals at all. I wouldn't say, yep, I want you to knock on wood as you say that last sentence. I'm not even going to say it out loud. Knock on wood for me because I just do not want these guys to. This is one of those cases where it's hard to subscribe to the legal philosophy that everybody's innocent until proven
It is.
guilty.
It really, really is. And
I,
I just have such a big fear of, something getting messed up and there being mistrials, or I don't know.
Mhm.
Like I just have this fear about that for some reason. I don't know
I do
why,
too.
but
No, I do too
I don't
because
know
of
if it's a
how
valid fear, but I definitely do have that.
I think some of that fear comes from if there's corruption, where is it? How deep does it go? Just like Grace is saying, the arrogancy of
Mhm.
expected loyalty, when clearly some folks out there will stand for what they believe in because Cora's daughter did. She was put in a miserable position. Um, but um, and I know she's been through a lot. I know that I did receive word, and I hadn't said much because there's really not much to say. She's doing okay. That's one report I have gotten, but this isn't easy to work with at all. So yeah, it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. I kind of want for
Mhm.
it'd be nice, it'd be interesting to see this case from a guilty until proven innocent perspective to see how I want to see how defense, if they had to prove, if they had the burden of proof, how would they go about proving that? Because right now they don't have the burden of anything. Prosecution does.
Mhm.
So I would really love to see what a reverse strategy on that would look like. So,
In Winchester, you're right. Winchester said this is really hard on the
mhm.
family. It truly, truly is. And that's why we try to be so careful with how we put out this information. Like
Yes.
Tara doing all these slides rather than just posting all the documents and what have you. But it
Yeah,
is definitely very hard on the family.
that's unreal. So, if you guys are ready, does anybody want to go back and talk about Kevin McIntire? God, yep, I'd love to hop on that train with you. I want to be careful. I don't want to be let down. Patrick, the search warrant is. I'm not even going to try to answer that. I need to go back and read those. I just want to go back and read them. So, but yeah, I would in the chat just for funsies. Um, are you guys ready to hear about Kevin McIntire? Because I've got some interesting information. I think we can finally put him in a bucket. Um, so there's a lot of information. Now, you guys know that I was, pardon me, I was not sure what bucket to put him in. Carrie and I had several conversations as we started to get to know the information coming in about him. She kind of wanted to lean toward he's a good guy, and I wanted to lean towards the not yet he's not. Like, prove to me this is something. This is a very delicate situation, and she had great pieces of information coming in. They were all positive, and I started receiving a lot of positive stuff. But then we read about his that grand jury indictment last time, and there seemed to be a lot of coincidences, a lot of things, and so I started looking in and digging really, really deep on this one, and I wanted to bring that to you guys this week so we can just figure out, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? What do we do with it? Do we stop talking about him? Do we keep after him? So we're going to get into this. First off, we're going to go through what's been said, what's been out there, because that's part of my research and figuring this all out. First off, we've heard several rumors, various sources, what have you, that he's been involved with Tiffany Adams romantically, if not socially, to some degree. Those are all varying, but not a lick of proof on that. Not a single lick of proof on it. No photos, no text messages, no love letters, no emails. Nobody has anything to offer. Second one, that he was involved with one and or two high school females while teaching. I heard that that wasn't a very big rumor that I'd heard. It wasn't a big story that came into me. I'd only heard it once or twice. It was easy to shrug off, but it's something that I think it was worth to look into. There was another report that he owned a black sports car that was used to upset or follow folks. That was Carrie's experience. That's been talked about several times already. We will get into that in a little bit. It's been said that he cannot serve or return to law enforcement for 3 years for a situation from several years ago. There's been talk of a little black book that's being used that was a nefarious tool. It was used in data collection or holding on to just random pieces of information about different people or something. I've heard this multiple times, that this thing is out there, and that it's not in his possession, but it's out there somewhere. Somebody specific has it and has been talking about it. And so that just sounded. So I hear little black book, I don't think nefarious tool. I hear a player's tool. That's a little black book of phone numbers type of thing. So that's out there. That the Drug Task Force Facebook page was shut down to avoid social media creators and social media rhetoric, and that he had served on at least one board, if not several boards, with Tiffany Adams, linking it back up to the social romantic angle. So this is just some of the stuff that I've heard, some of the bigger stuff that keeps coming back around. And then you have the incident from, I think it was 2000, Carrie, was that 2006? Where the grand jury indictment with the missing money and
I believe it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, it was 20 years ago.
And also, Patrick's question, whose car is the Nissan Altima? I've not heard of a Nissan Altima.
Oh, that is Tiffany's. That's in one of the search warrants.
Oh, okay.
Tiffany's, a 2009 Nissan white one. Yeah.
Oh, Betsy answered that. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so we start deep diving and digging into this stuff, and I can prove that he returned to law enforcement despite a complete loss of career. He was taken out of law enforcement for that issue with the grand jury, the money missing. I wish I'd come up with a name for it. There's no conviction on record. None. You can go through, you can't find it. That aged issue, 20 years plus, was resolved by a deferred judgment. The probation was actually 2 years, despite court docs, and I don't think it's actually court docs that states it. I think it's actually news and that kind of reporting that states it's 3 years. But I do have a document. I have not been given permission to share it yet, but I do have a document that says, because it's only part of a document, it says 2 years. That was the agreement that Kevin took for this whole thing. Now, with the completion of probation, the matter was essentially dismissed because there was no conviction. So when there's been a lot of questions as to how in the hell can somebody who seemingly violated the law to the depth that's been described, that we've kind of talked about, how does somebody like that return to law enforcement? Because there's no conviction at all. It's not there. It's a deferred judgment. So he moved to Keys in July of 2010. Now, how did he get that job in Keys as I think it was a police officer? Because of background checks. We're talking about cops. We're talking about law enforcement, hiring law enforcement. They're going to do their homework. They're going to do their homework. So they did background checks. They did a complete vetting process. He was interviewed, and it was brought up that that situation was discussed specifically in his interview at Keys. I can say this definitively. It can be proven. So because of those discussions, those past concerns, he was given a second chance. Now, there was some stalling. There's caution, right, to return to a career that you lost. And so coming to Keys from South Central Oklahoma, I can't remember if it's Ardmore or Admire, I can't remember the name of the town. I always forget it. It was to start a new leaf.
Yeah, it was Ardmore. Ardmore is where he was. Yeah.
It was to get a new start over. Lots of things were going wrong in his life at the time, and he needed a fresh start, and he took a chance, and he was given a second chance. At some point in time, he was appointed as the interim sheriff of Cimarron County. It's because that, I believe, if I remember correctly, I have to go back and look at my notes. It's because the sheriff at the time retired. He stepped down. And so Kevin was asked to step in, and Kevin did. Now, elections came up because the sheriff is elected in Cimarron County. Kevin did not win the election, so he returned to Keys PD. I think it was Keys PD. He's currently serving on the Drug Task Force for District 1. District 1 includes Cimarron, Texas, Beaver, and Harper counties. Now, he's created a family out there in Keys. He has a family just like the rest of us in our homes. We're not going to get into the specifics of who they are, names, ages, none of that, because it's not important. His family has deep, strong, the family he's created out there have deep, strong roots specific to service-oriented community spirit. So they're serving their community in very specific, very special ways. And if you do the research that I did, you'd find that. I'm not going to go into it. There's some boundaries I am going to respect, and I'll tell you why in the next slide or two. So bear with me. So Kevin McIntire did not arrest Wrangler Rickman. His name is on the arrest warrant, but he didn't execute it. The law enforcement agencies from Boise City did. So it was either the sheriff's or the local PD, one of the two or both. Nor did he attend any court hearings regarding Wrangler Rickman because he was not supposed to. He didn't have to. There's no recollection of anybody ever seeing Wrangler or Kevin and Tiffany in the courtroom together. He did not attend court hearings with her as a supportive figure. He just didn't. Now, he did serve on boards with her. One specific hospital board he did in 2022. He did serve on that board with Tiffany. Tiffany was on the board first. She was asked to serve by somebody. He was asked to serve by somebody else. They both said yes, but at different times. Tiffany was there first. He came on a little bit later. He served about 6 months-ish. At some point in time, he's actually leading the board. And then he got off the board. She remained on the board. He also does not own a black sports car. That's been proven. And I think, Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong, but were you the one to prove that? She's on mute.
I was on mute. Yeah, that definitely was not his car. We know whose car it was. Has no relation whatsoever to Kevin that we could find.
He does not own a black sports car. So yes, he is married, and I will say he and his wife do have children in the area. They deep family roots there. Kevin's not from there. He just moved there to get a start. He got a start. He's got a family. He's got a home, and Keys is his home. So this is what we can prove for certain. We can also prove there's zero evidence of social interactions with any of the accused. There's no pictures, no eyewitness. There's only suspicions, and it makes sense that because this case has just been out there. It has been crazy. There's been all kinds of behaviors, been all kinds of different things said. But when it comes to Kevin and any of the accused, zero social interaction. Absolutely none. He doesn't hang out with them. They don't go to church together. He doesn't do any of that. He did pause the Drug Task Force District 1 Facebook group. And that's because there was interaction. There's actually 2 admins on that page if you look at it. The interaction was paused because there were some folks coming on there and they were putting comments and interacting inappropriately. They were doing so in a way that didn't align with the purpose of the group. The purpose of that group is to share good news and events, community spirit, that kind of thing. But some others came on there and decided to use it against Kevin and the other admin. And so,
Yeah, and that's very believable. People go real life like that all the time.
mhm,
So, they've left comments on all the suspects pages,
yes,
victims,
yes.
all of that. So
Well,
I don't
even
under
Eloy Torres has received extreme threats, and he's not a bad guy in this situation at all.
Yes, we had, what, 3 family members of his reach
Yep.
out to ask us to please not let his name be put in the group, when all that information came out early on,
Mhm.
because he was, getting threats and he had children and stuff like that. So, we had to keep that out of there too. But yeah, I have no doubt that people were probably going on that task force Facebook group and leaving
Absolutely.
cruddy comments
Um,
and stuff.
Dixie Chick Dog coming to Cimarron County is a joke. Very tiny place. It's not a great place to work if he comes from big city like Ardmore. I've asked about that because I thought, man, that's why would you go to somewhere so remote? But I'm not a small city fan, not a small town fan, so I asked things like that of different people, and the motivation was to look for that real slow living, that easier minimizing living is what I've been told. Um, a slower pace, want a slower pace. So that's the reason for the move to that particular area. So what you also see on the screen there is he's made a significant positive impact to the community. Um, Carrie did something that, oh my gosh, that's Carrie's handwriting on those teeny tiny, I mean, they're teeny tiny pages to you, but those are typical notebook pages. That's 6 pages of cases,
Front and back.
front and back, that Kevin successfully pursued after moving to Keys.
And I
He
can
is
say, like, most all of those resulted in either guilty pleas or no contest. So, most of those did result in charges. And, what I found was, and this isn't even all of them because OSCN will only show 20 cases per county. So, in some of those counties, he most definitely probably had way more than just 20 that would
oh my
show.
god.
So the even what I got is not all of them, but what I can say for a fact is, and I can post these in the group too if people wanna see, but he has definitely made a major impact as far as getting drugs off the street and things like that. He really has. He's done a great job at that. So that's something you can't take from him. The proof is there.
To point out one bad decision, one bad mistake, one bad deal, one bad ordeal, one bad situation. And somehow that is the focus, but nobody talks about these 6 pages, which is not everything, of what the good he's done. That so when Carrie shared this with me, when she knew I was diving deeper into this, I was floored. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's just unreal to see um, how this was overlooked. So now you're probably wondering how I dug into this so quickly because we just did that live last week, how I got this information. And I am allowed to tell you the source. And so, what I did last week before the live is I actually reached out to Kevin McIntire. I actually went on Facebook to his page and I sent him a message. And I said, look, we're going live. We're going to talk about you. I'm not convinced of who you are. I'm not convinced of the type of person that you are. I don't know if you're a good guy or a bad guy, and I'd really like to know so I can either put things to bed and stop talking about you, or I can dig into you deeper. So if you don't respond to me, great. If not, that's fine too. And so Kevin McIntire responded. We've been talking for the last week. Now you can see this is um, my Facebook Messenger chat screen. I am keeping out anything in there, like the conversation itself is not there. I have censored it on purpose. but you can see that Kevin is listed on that first shot right there. Because I wanted to show everybody that I have been talking to him, and I continue to. I don't know if you can see the time prints on there, the timestamps. And you can see he's responding to me. This was these are, I think I took these yesterday as I was putting these slides together. So why did I reach out to Kevin? Well, I was tired of all the rhetoric. I was tired of not knowing. And after we tried to kind of stand up for Wrangler several lives ago and try to give him some kind of voice, because he's in such a silent position. Nobody was really offending for him. I thought, you know what? Nobody's really offending for Kevin. Nobody's really looked into it. There's just all this negative. How do you serve in a position like that and be that negative? And so I decided to reach out to him. I reached out to him during that last live. I messaged him, got the message back. And so our conversation continues. We keep talking. And what I can tell you, and I'm not sharing everything from that conversation. There's a reason for that. He and I have talked, we've agreed, there's boundaries, but there's nothing in there that gives me any concern as to the type of man he is. Now, the case has been completely off limits. I made that clear in my very first message to him. I don't want to talk about the case with you at all. There's nothing to talk about with that case. But he has made the best of a second chance. That's one of the things that I consider him to be in the good guy bucket. I'm going to say this next thing, and I know it's going to upset a lot of people, and I will take the flack for it. But there are others out there that, given their personal experiences, should understand the value of a second chance. And I'll say this, if you know, then you know.
Yep.
We don't just investigate folks that are involved in this case. And so that was another reason why I wanted to just put all of this crap to bed. I will also tell you that there's an opportunity to press charges.
Yeah, definitely.
But Kevin prefers the high road, and he prefers prayer. He's very, very serious about his faith. And I'll tell you something, that little black book, it is his book from his first year at Keys PD. It's his investigative book from 2010. Now, I've heard some of the rhetoric about this book. I've heard some of the rumors about this book, but I don't remember hearing any dates.
Mm-mm.
And I'll tell you what, because there is sensitive information, I have heard what kind of sensitive information is in that book. That is illegal in Kansas and Oklahoma to have that information in your possession if it's not yours. It is illegal. Kevin confirmed that for me, and I checked in with Kansas. I checked in with a local, I live in Derby, so I checked with a Derby PD, checked with Wichita PD, checked with our sheriff's department, which is sheriff, that's the Sedgwick County, checked with Kelley County and Sumner County. Being in possession of somebody else's sensitive information is illegal.
Yeah, that would have a lot of sensitive information in it too.
Yep. Yes.
Things that the general public should not have, those kind of things at all.
Now, those who have, Kevin knows he's been told who has it. He's not stupid. He knows who has it, but again, he prefers the high road and prayer. At any point in time, he can put a stop to all that. But unfortunately, he's not trying to feed into a narrative, and he is going to stick to his values. That's one of the things that I admire about that. He's not trying to get back and get revenge. Because if he was, I don't think we would have the information on him. I think there'd be more things hiding. I don't think we would be able to see the things we see. I don't think his name would have been on an arrest warrant for Wrangler Rickman if he wanted to pull some shady things. He did pause the drug task force page again because some people coming on there and doing things that did not align with the purpose of that page. He continues to chat with me. We are talking every day. He provides me what he can. Again, the case is off limits, and that is due to the gag order, right? But that's also due to, I didn't reach out to him to ask him about the case. I asked him to learn about him.
Yeah.
I wanted to know who he was because I'm very good at listening to people and understanding who they are, where they come from, what their values are. I can pick that up on somebody pretty quickly. And I feel confident where Kevin's coming from. And I don't know too many people that could sit there and hear about all the different things being said, all the different negative things, and not come out fighting, not come out guns blazing, not come in hot on somebody when they have the legal recourse to do it. Talk about taking the high road. I'm floored. And there's even some personal things that have been done against him, but he continues to he doesn't want to risk what he did before. He's not looking to lose everything again because he barely built his career back and he's done a fabulous job of it. And one thing from 20 years ago continues to haunt him because nobody else will look at the 2,000 other things he's done right. So, because nobody else, he's told me nobody else has reached out to him. Nobody has given him a chance to speak. I think that's very important. There's a lot of people out there talking very confidently about him, but nobody has reached out to him in a curious manner like I have. Everybody is, the others who have contacted him, and they're just other people who hear things, come at him very negatively. They threaten. There's been protective measures to protect his family. So it's very difficult to hear things like that.
I'm sharing a picture because
What
this
the
is
hell you're
like,
sharing?
yeah, it's, I mean,
Where'd the
'cause
screen
it's
go?
been what, 2 months worth of this
Oh
now.
goodness, yeah. Oh, the black Charger.
This is not, yeah, so this is not a black Charger. It was a black Chevy Camaro. That is the car that has been spoken of. I never did see a black Charger. So this is the car that messed with us the first night I was out there, and I did follow it, but you can clearly see that's a Chevy Camaro.
And Kevin doesn't own a black sports car. He doesn't own a black sports car. So, in talking with Kevin, what I have learned that his motivation, and as corny as it sounds, right? Because it does sound corny to say his motivation in law enforcement is the community impact. Those 6 pages we're looking at. He liked being a police officer, but he much prefers his job today because he has the opportunity to do more with it, and he likes it. I think he feels very much achieved. He likes helping his community. He feels very welcomed by his community. He came there as somebody who wasn't from there, and he received a very warm welcome. And he's done a lot of great things since he's been there. And serving on the drug task force for District 1, it's been his favorite position so far, and he tends to stay with it. So it's really to hear things like that. These are not things that, you know, when you talk with Kevin, I don't get a sense of, arrogance. I do get a sense of caution. He reminds me, I don't entirely trust you. I'm like, I don't entirely trust you either, and this is okay. We're still getting to learn and getting to know you phase. But I just don't get the feel that he's hiding anything, that he's involved, and he's there's just. I feel very confident. I can put him in a bucket, and quite honestly, until something happens, and I don't expect it to happen, OSBI arrests him. I don't expect that. Some other law enforcement agency takes an interest in him. I don't expect that. I'm done talking about him. I consider him to be on the good guy list now. I've had enough conversations, and I'll continue to have conversations. He's been good about clarifying some legal areas for me that I wasn't quite aware of or didn't quite know how to understand. And when I made a mistake on something, he's clarified it for me. I feel confident about it. So from here on out, Carrie, as long as you're good with it, this one can be put to bed. We're done. We're good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I truly agree. I hate to see and hear rumors of people. I asked a question in the group of 20,000 people. Could anybody provide us proof of any of these rumors? Not one single person could provide proof. The only thing we'd get is, well, so and so said such and such. Well, that's not proof to us at all. So
No.
nobody could ever show anything that would give any kind of merit to any of those rumors. And I hate to see somebody being, destroyed. And they do have children and things like that. So when Tara and I started to look into him, it really wasn't to try to prove that he was a good guy. It really wasn't. It was for try to figure out, okay, who is this guy? And that's exactly what we did. And Tara's done a great job with talking with Kevin, and he's, like she said, he's been very responsive to her. And
Yeah.
I agree. I think that the discussion, at least here on this channel, I think we can put that to bed. And yeah, we both agree there.
Yeah. So if you guys have questions in the chat, I'll answer what I can about Kevin. But quite honestly, there's a lot of things to learn about him. And I'll tell you this, if there's only ever negative that you hear about somebody, but they've not been arrested, they've not been stopped, they've not been stalled, and they've not even been questioned, you really got to ask yourself about the sources, because that's what we did. We had to look into this because we got so many things where like he's so great, he's so wonderful, and then we got he's a cocky and he's a jerk and we don't like him. And it's like, what side of the law have you been on with him? Because he very much takes his law enforcement career very seriously. He
Yeah.
enjoys it. He found a love for it, and he loves the community impact that he has with it. I've been very pleased with him. I disagree. He's not slick. I mean, I don't know him personally as in terms of seeing him in person, but he continues to talk with me and he answers questions. Some things have been sensitive. I'm not allowed to share those yet. But if he ever gets an opportunity to listen to this and we continue and he says I can share certain things, I can. Now, just know that he doesn't know jack about the case. He can't talk about it because the gag order. Obviously, he's on the witness list, but he doesn't know anything about it either. I know there's a lot of unbelievable rumors about him and Tiffany out there. And I'll tell you what, I was ready to hop on that bandwagon. I really
Right.
was.
Me too. Me too.
It's like, ooh, somebody's sleeping with somebody else. Yes, let's talk about this. This will be so cool let's uncover that. And quite honestly, um, even guys as powerful as certain politicians who are running for certain positions of power over our country have people who are willing to come forward and say, this is what we did. And not a single person has come forward to say, this is what I know because I saw it firsthand. Now I can see people saying that they can see it makes sense. But again, I had to go back and look at all my sources. I had to go back and look at everything really closely. I had to talk with Carrie about it. Because I wasn't going to be easily convinced. And I told Kevin, I don't want to be convinced. I just want to know who you are. Now he
Yeah.
was very forward towards I told him we were going live, we're talking about you and I'm going to put some stuff out there. And he's like, what book are you putting me in? He was just kind of like, what do you think now? I think very well of him. And I am looking forward to more conversations with him. I'm looking forward to developing a thicker line of trust with him because I've learned a lot and I'm glad I did this. I'm glad I looked into
And
him.
I know that there's going to, people are going to have their own opinion based on the rumors that they have heard. And that's fine. We know,
Mhm.
we're well aware of that. But the thing I would ask is if you're hearing a rumor, is that person showing any kind of proof of that? Because if they don't have any receipts to bring with it, then it is just a rumor. And
Yeah.
how would any of us feel if somebody was, saying all these things about us or our families? And I take that, into very high consideration on everything. Like, what if that was my husband or one of you in the chat? How would you
Yep.
feel? You have kids, and the kids also get harassed, and that's so sad. And it's simply because people want to add drama to a case that is already horrible enough. You don't need to add more to it. But if any of that was true, we were definitely going to try to bring that to light. But we just could not. We couldn't get any proof of that, so we have to go with, the facts, and the facts are what Tara has presented tonight. So, you'll have your own opinions, but I just try to keep that into consideration too.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have brought this forth to a live if I didn't feel strongly about it, if I didn't think I could go and prove every single thing because I can. I know where to go get documentation of when he served on boards. I know how to prove he only had 2 years instead of 3. I can prove it all, and I wouldn't have come on here if I couldn't do that because that's the integrity of a Carrie Moody true crime is we have something to back everything up. And the stuff that we don't know, we talk about, we theorize about it, we go look into it. We try to bring the most updated, the most factual, the most real information that we can, and we wouldn't be putting it out there if we didn't think it was worth putting out there. And I know I'm going to get some
No.
hate mail. I know I've got some middle
Yeah, we
fingers
will.
coming at me in my. There's
We
some middle
will,
fingers
but
coming in the chat at me.
that's
I know
nothing
that
new. That's
no,
nothing new,
but
and I would not put my name and my channel on the line either if I did not
yep,
agree and believe in this, and I just feel so strongly about the rumor mill. I despise it with a pat. It's gotta be one of my biggest pet peeves. I despise it. I like the facts, and I understand that sometimes the facts, if you don't have the drama come with it, isn't quite as interesting and exciting. But that's what this channel, we try very hard to do is just give you the facts. And sometimes those facts change, as we learn more, things might change. But we present it to you as to what it is at that time.
quite a bit. I'll tell you why in
Terry,
a
you're
second.
cutting. Okay, there you go.
So, no, sorry.
It's okay.
If I find out different information on Kevin, I'm going to report it. But
Yeah.
I just don't feel like I'm going to. We were talking about something today, and there was a document, and he's like, "Do you have this one?" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. Let me go look." And I went back and I looked. I'm like, "Oh, I don't have that one, but I have this one. Do you want it?" He's like, "Yeah, I already know how to end it. Thanks." I'm like, "Ah, touche. Okay." I mean, he made a joke with me. He's like, "I actually don't need to see that. Thank you, though. That's great." I was there. I'm like, "Oh yeah, you were." So, and see, Blonde Gnome's cool. She's trying to put us back on track with the right focus, and that's Veronica and Jilian. The next step in the court system. Defense shenanigans, if I had to answer
Ye
creatively.
Yep.
There's defense is gonna probably continue to do what they can to, at the very least, take the death penalty off the table. I would be very interested in that. There's a lot of talk about the change of venue. It's a lot of rhetoric. What about the fake burglary? I'll tell you, RLT, I can appreciate you wanting to go back and go through certain things with a fine tooth comb, but quite honestly, if a grand jury said 2 years is a good enough sentence, and I read through that grand jury final report, um, a lot of his contributions to law enforcement was taken into consideration, and that consideration
Yeah.
was taken into, there was a value placed against a consideration because of what the grand jury had done in the past. And so, quite honestly, I don't care. I don't care about a fake burglary. I don't care about missing funds. I don't care about any of it because it was 20
Yeah.
years ago.
20
If you guys
years
want,
ago.
go back and look at me 20 years ago. You'll find way more
Yes.
interesting crap back then. If, well, most of it I get caught for, but whatever. But if I'm not going to get stuck on the past. That is a
No, and
great
and
way
what
to
he
hold
did
yourself
was not
hostage.
what he did wasn't good, like, we can all agree on that. That was, like, a really bad move, bad decision. He's well aware of
Mhm.
that, and like Tara
Well,
said,
and I didn't even
it's
talk to him
been
about that.
20 years
I
ago.
I didn't even talk to him about the actual events that led up to the probation. I talked about the probation. That's what I cared
Mhm.
about because that's what he was handed. I don't care about, trying to prove anything else because it's not
Right.
important. Grand jury said you've got 2 years, you don't get to work in law enforcement. After 2 years, you can go back. So he was able to go back and a community saw him as an opportunity. That's what talks to me. I have
Mhm.
been given second chances. And I'll tell you what, damn, if I didn't appreciate those second chances just
Oh
because
my
I made
gosh,
some really
yes.
crappy mistakes. And so if you haven't had a second chance in life, kudos to you. You're doing better than probably
The
90%
majority.
of us.
Yep.
But if you've had a second chance, take that into consideration what your second chance looks like and what it did for you because I wouldn't be in this house. I wouldn't be with my children. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it weren't for second chances. So I don't
Definitely.
care what he did. I care what he's doing
What
and
has
what
he
he's
done
doing today.
since then? What has he done since
Yep.
then? Has there been any problems since then? There
Yep.
hasn't been. There's just a ton of arrests. He's done a lot of good as far as law enforcement goes, and the rest is just rumor. I mean, that's what really all I can say is it's just rumor.
The Brady, I say that for me, Carrie, because every time I
The
can,
Brady Gigolo. Gigolo. I never can pronounce it properly either.
Yeah, everybody knows how to Google him, but if you're as bold as I am, go talk to him. Let him know
Yeah.
that you want to put him into a bucket, see if he'll respond to you.
Mhm.
But as far as that Brady stuff and the legal stuff, quite honestly, he's not been arrested. Um, uh, I don't know. That's
Oh,
the
wow.
black book was being read online the other. What?
Wow.
Are you? You're kidding, RLT. You've got to be kidding. That was read online the other day.
Well, I hope not.
Oh man. Um, thanks for looking into him. My original thoughts were he had moved to might have known Tiff, but no one says he was friends with Benefits, so big deal. Let's let him be. I agree. No,
Yes.
I don't know if he actually, I didn't even actually ask him. I'll ask him if he met Tiffany prior to the board stuff. I would like to think so because it's a small community, like at passing,
Mhm.
but no social stuff. His social stuff is his family stuff. He has a small circle of folks that he hangs out with, and they don't include any of the five.
And
But
I think too, like, I'm pretty certain that it's been said that, he was friends with, like, Tiffany on his Facebook, maybe some of the others, I'm not sure. I never looked at his Facebook before it was locked down, so I don't know that, but I do think that he was. But that's not an uncommon thing, especially in a
no,
small area. Like, I mean, I don't really have Facebook, but if I did, I would have probably half my town on there because I live in a small town, but that doesn't really mean I know those people. I don't necessarily know my neighbor.
right?
But I
Well,
know
yeah,
of them and we meet, when we're at the store or what happened,
right.
you know?
Oh, I'm going to address this one. BTK was over 20 years ago. Can we let him out? RLT, I live in Derby. That's Wichita metro area. And no, because BTK bind, tortured, and
Yep.
unalived. I'll say it because I'm not a fan of that one, but I'll say it. Several people, but he fessed up to it too. So no, I don't want to let him out. I have ideas for people like that, but at least he owned it and he pled guilty. There was no trial for him. So no, that is not a very good comparison in my opinion at all. That is not an apples to apples. That is an apple to a pepper as far as I'm concerned. That
Yeah,
just
and definitely very huge degree of difference in the crime too.
yeah. So I'm not BTK's. I hadn't heard that.
Oh, wow.
Yuck. Yeah, that was a very scary time when he resurfaced. I'll tell you, when I was a very young mom at the time, and that was scary. So hi, Pine Needle. I like Pine Needle.
I
But
do
yeah,
too.
go back and watch it because I went and just went all over Kevin. Good point, Lynn. Lynn's got it. No disrespect, but what does BTK have to do with justice for Veronica and Jilian? I think it's trying to prove a point of 20
Right.
years ago somebody did something, and um, honestly, it was I don't care about what he did because it was a no harm, no foul situation, and even the grand jury is like 2 years. All you need is 2 years to sit and think about what you've done, and he did. And since then, he's done incredible things. So
Yeah.
um, he's a he's good. I'm good with it. Oh, so we'll go ahead and move past that. We've been into the chat response, arguments, questions. I mean, I obviously will take it on, not opposed to debating. I'm not here to be convinced. I'm here to learn. I'll tell you that. Um, but any other questions or concerns or things that you want me to even ask Kevin? So don't feel like just because I've put this stuff out here today that you can't pose a question for me to ask him if it's um, reasonable. Let's not be silly about it, right? So I just want to put that out there. Um, I don't know if the chat seems pretty happy go lucky with everything we did tonight.
I have some questions that were sent to me previously. I don't really have the answers, but maybe Tara will, or even one of you in the chat. But the first one was, how long has there been this group called the Misfits?
Oh, so the Misfits, I don't know the timeline, to be honest with you, but what I understand is that of the various churches that these misfits went to, and they all went to different churches, they really didn't like some of what they considered progressive type ideologies being preached about. I don't know what that means. That's all I was said was
And,
that the ideas,
Tiffany attended church every Sunday, so she'd go to her regular church and then would go to these meetings
right,
and whatever they did after church, which is just
right. So
so weird.
what I understand is that it's yeah, you've got a bunch of sovereign citizens that are gathering together, and that's the anti-government part of the anti-government thing that's being addressed. And then they're not actually, from what I understand, and I'm still building on this information. It's not really about like they're not Bible studying. They're just it's a like camaraderie. It's
Mhm.
fellowship together. They do a potluck or
Potluck,
something, and they
drinking.
yeah, have a good time, that sort of thing. It's not like wild and crazy. Want to see on the dark web type stuff. They're just it's kind of like their little venting session is what I'm gaining from it. The term misfits and God's misfits is incorrect. It's not God's misfits. I think I think I was actually the one to tell Carrie that the first time, and I've since been trying to correct that wrong ever since. But it
Yes.
was something I think Cole Twombly was joking around one night some time ago and
Mhm.
talked about we're just a bunch of misfits or something along those lines, and it stuck with the group, and it's been kind of the running joke. They no longer find the joke funny for obvious reasons. It's not working for them, but so it's just a bunch of people who get together and kind of have a big extended family event, and it's
Mhm.
usually weekly. I can't say anything against that because I have weekly events where I get together, with my gal pals or with people that I consider fit to be family. And so I'm not trying to justify, I'm trying to explain why people would get together once a week. And so
That's just crazy that that was read online.
copied. What do you mean copied? Like like a copier copied? Was that copy put on um RLT would love to have more insight from you. I think I know which direction to go look at that and find that. Um, but that I had not heard. That's interesting to me.
Oops.
You're good with it, but others may not be. That I don't think that's directed. That must be at somebody else. I don't know. Where's
Another
the
question I
sources?
have is that remember the judge said that he was with Tad when he was arrested?
Yes, I do
And
remember that
Paul was
guy.
also there
Hmm.
when Tad was arrested. Make that make sense. The judge
Yeah,
didn't say anything at all about Paul being there.
gosh, I don't want to call shenanigans. I don't know about that because Paul's listed in the affidavits that allowed Tad to be arrested. No, was he not? Did I
Yeah.
forget that? Did I
Yeah.
not recall? But Paul's listed in those. That's why when we read those, we're like, who the hell is Paul? Where'd this guy come from? Because nobody knew who he was. So I'm
But I just
um
wonder why the judge didn't mention that fact that Paul was
yeah.
also there. That I'm just kind of curious about that, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna go back through maybe if we take a deep dive into these search warrants, maybe we'll find an answer in there. That just blows my mind. But now I kind of want to
Um,
wonder, was the judge even there?
right. Well, and in his interview, he does say that he had like flashbacks because of the guns. So he clearly makes it that
Flashbacks.
yeah.
Oh,
So
good night.
he clearly makes it that he was there at that time. So I just, I don't know.
The
That's just something kind of interesting, I think.
Leroy's the same judge we're talking about, right? That's what I'm presenting. That's what I presume. So, yeah, I'd love for that one to make sense. I'll RLT Devil's Rejects.
That's for
Oh my,
sure. That would
oh
have
my
been a
God.
better name for sure. Leroy said Judge
Uh,
was full of bull, and that could be possible. I'm not sure.
it's what's a pine needle? POW of an arrest? I s-
Are you talking about when he mentioned that he had flashbacks, Pine Needle? And then
I
another question is, I've seen some statements, but wondering how many are in this group. My understanding is maybe 20, 30 people, maybe not even that many. Um, but I don't think like they weren't close with these 5, if that makes sense. So I don't think that they had like knowledge that they were planning this or anything like that. I think those conversations were all kept between the 5 of them.
Okay, so I just checked my message. Thank you, Tabletops. Thank you.
Oops. Yeah, he was
I'm
having
checking my
flashbacks is what he said.
Stan Fisher Tabletops. I'm gonna talk this out. Is that okay? I'm gonna say something. Um, I'm gonna go back and find it. There is. I'm gonna put this out there, and I know I'm gonna get hate mail for it, and I welcome it. I just received some messages from somebody who heard the Black Book, and this is probably probably aligns right with RTL or RLT. Sorry, the Black Book was read by a social media creator. Um, that social media creator was taunting Kevin, daring him to call. And yeah, that's, oh my gosh. And this particular social media creator said that they had the actual book. And that was my understanding. I didn't realize. So I'm going to dig into that. I presume, was that recent, guys? For those of you, RLT and Stan Fisher Tabletops, was that recent?
And if anybody in the chat wants to come up on panel and discuss that,
Yeah,
like, because Tara and I don't know much about it, honestly.
that seems to be a
Um,
popular tactic lately with certain creators. Oh, what do you mean the popular tactic, Lisa? And yes, it was read recently. Okay, so, oh wow. Um, what the hell?
I don't know.
Does this person know what they have? Do they know? Do they understand what they have? Like, somebody needs to direct me.
I just dropped the link in the chat if anybody
Yeah.
wants to come up on the panel and talk about it.
Good night. RLT, did you ever say something about it? You said it was copied. What did oh goodness. Oh, why the OSB didn't mention him there? Come on, I have LE background, and the OSBI would have put his name on the affidavit. Yes, the judge who bragged about being. Oh, okay. So because he wasn't mentioned in the well, would he have needed to be mentioned in the affidavits? The affidavits would allow them to go get Tad, and according to that judge, he was there when Tad was arrested.
Yes. That's what he said.
Yeah, I remember him saying that. I just didn't think it would. Oh,
So you think Fanzias, you think that had the judge actually been there like he said, his name would have been listed in that affidavit. I think is that what you're saying? And I've heard a lot of information, both ways, like, no, he wasn't there. No, he didn't serve. Things like that. I don't know. We haven't looked into them at all. So
no,
just interesting though that, you know, he says he was there, but Paul was also there at the same time. Yeah, they do, Lisa. They do.
yeah. Is that what you meant by that? That's.
Yeah. We just try to
Uh,
stay away from that. Everybody, you can have your own thoughts and opinions on all of this. We're totally fine with that. See,
that's
another question was, and I don't know the answer to this, but maybe, locals might. Hopefully they'll comment on the video or something. But are they still having Sunday Misfit meetings? I'm curious to know if they are.
that'd be interesting. I don't know. And I'll be open with you guys. Since reaching out to Kevin, I'm trying to reach out to a few others. The cooks are one of them. I'm
Yes.
trying to get some more information. I can, if I get a connection, if I find a way to communicate with Lisa, the cooks, Lacey and Barrett, That would be a question I ask, because that would be interesting to know.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think that TA didn't want the warrants released? That's a good discussion. I think because there's some damning things said in there.
Definitely. So much.
I think that ship is sinking with her at the captain's seat, and that she doesn't want people to see it. I think she does want that trial to happen there in her stomping grounds. I think it's a terrible idea, but
Happy birthday, Ramblin' Rome.
and a bit buzzed, I must say. Happy birthday, Ramblin'. I like that you're buzzed. This
That's
must make for
funny.
fun conversation. Okay, so I just got another message in that there's an attempt to find the. I'm trying to be careful here, right? Because I don't want to be one of those people. But there's an attempt to find the point in time where that black book was read aloud. I just got another message from somebody who's been listening. They do say that the creator didn't sound quite on par, I'll put it. I'm not going to repeat what this is being said, but then like maybe some bad decisions were being made at the time. I don't know. So if that person comes back to me with the space, then Carrie and I will have something to go investigate and look up, because God, if you're releasing that, what else are you releasing? Like, I can't, man, what I know I don't know a lot about law, but man, I don't know. Is that, I know it's not okay to talk about having that information, so I don't know.
Anna Lou says, I would love you to reach out to Wrangler if that is possible, when it's possible.
I will. It's on my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I need to talk to the rehab that he's in to see what those rules look like. I know the first 30 days you can't talk to anybody, and I think with after that, I don't know how the rules work. Some rehabs you can talk to whoever you want to. Others it has to be approved. I don't know, but I will start going that direction and see what we can figure out. I've heard that other creators are talking to him. I don't know what that means. I don't know all that, so I'll start looking into that for you. Oh, the documents, Carrie,
I can upload them to the group.
Yeah.
I don't think all that information's out there now, so I can upload those to the group so you guys can see the full documents.
Brandywine, freedom of speech, people.
That's right.
I get that. And also, I want to be careful. People have a bad sense of humor when it comes to suing you. So
yes.
We can't control the lawsuits, and you can sue anybody for anything. So the doc said PG, the OSBI asked PG about his wounds on his, there's some rhetoric in there, but we're going to deep dive those documents and actually read them versus looking for the high level stuff. I wanted to get something to you guys out tonight so you can see what was found. I think that's important to the case to understand and to keep the energies going as much as possible.
Definitely.
What else have you guys got? There's no way you guys are this quiet and this satisfied, are you? Everybody's happy? Is there questions I should be asking folks as I'm going out and offering to have myself railroaded?
Here's another question that the chat, might have opinions on. Just keep in mind that anything would be alleged, but is it suspected that Tad is involved in criminal activities besides these murders? I've kind of wondered that too myself.
I've
what does
heard
the
some
chat
stuff,
think about that?
I don't know. I have, but I've heard, as far as the 5 are concerned, I've heard of some I don't know, some bad business going on, some shady business, I guess is the better word, where it comes to Tad and Tiffany, but that's pretty common. As far as Cora and Cole and Paul are concerned, we haven't heard anything about those guys.
No.
I've heard positive things about Cora and Cole, like the shirt off your back type of comment, do anything for you, stop everything to give you what you need. So this is why this is so alarming to so many of them. But I hear the same thing about Tiffany over and over again. I would love to sit down with Tiffany for about an hour. I would demand a bottle of wine with that hour-long chat, though, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to need it. But I would give her the opportunity to talk too, because I'd like to know what kind of person she really is, because there's a lot of rhetoric about her. And
Uh-huh.
granted, some of her decisions kind of back that rhetoric. But so, what's the
Yeah,
community
that's not.
feeling? Yeah, it's not good. What's the community feeling? The gist of it all? Are they still feeling cautious, concerned, safer? What's the feel? I've heard some things, Carrie. What do you? Have you heard anything yourself?
I mean, I think for the most part, the same people that had concerns and worry in the beginning still have those same concerns and worry. So
Mhm.
I'm not real sure why. If they feel safer, things like that. I'm sure they do, but I think that the issue is who else may have been involved in a way, and will those people come after them, kind of thing.
Yep. I've heard more
Or
people
those
are
that have had
experienced.
the rumors spread about them, obviously, they have
Mhm.
concerns and stuff, and, Leroy said, "We wanna puke." Yeah. When
Yeah,
I read that AOL article yesterday, it took everything. I had to post it in the group. I really did not want to, but the information was out there, and
yeah,
it was factual, but it took me, like, 3 times to just read through it. I just it was horrible. And it's, unfortunate that the families were not aware that that was gonna be coming out.
yeah.
That was a shock for them. Um, Here's another question. What does everybody think about a change of venue?
Yes.
Do you guys think that the defense will ask for a change of venue, or do you think that it's gonna be fine, staying right there?
Seems to make sense they would change the venue, but I was confident of that too, Shayna,
Mhm.
and now I'm kind of backing down on that horse. I'm backing that horse up.
I feel the same. Yeah, I feel the same. In the beginning, I certainly thought there was going to be about 2 or 3 more arrested, and I felt that way for the most part the whole time up until just recently.
Mhm. Yes, and yeah, Kevin is on a gag order. We don't talk about the case, and I would not ask him questions about that, even if there wasn't a gag order. Getting to know him had nothing to do with the case.
Lynn says, "I hope they change the venue."
Mhm.
Jacqueline said, "Absolutely should be a change of venue." Wendy, "I think it is needed." I do too. I truly
Yeah,
do. I'm hoping that they do that. Lisa said, "I think they'll try to seat a jury first, standard operating procedures." And that's possible.
yeah. I mean, quite honestly, Carrie, all they need to do is go through the Facebook group that we admin for, and they're going to see. I mean, the population of that group is over 20,000, and the
Mhm.
population of Texas County is about 21,000. So it's, I don't know. I'm sure they'll follow the procedure regardless of what we think. The court of public opinion isn't always as strong as we would like for it to be.
I'm with Leroy. I
Yep,
would like to see it moved, like, closer to Oklahoma City area maybe, where it's not so
absolutely.
well known. Um, Shayna said, "Defense can ask for it, but I think it will stay in Texas County, and a jury will be pulled from downstate." So that is an option they can do. They
Yeah.
can bring jury in from outside. Um, Man, that's such a small courtroom. That's just gonna be really
Oh,
interesting.
gross, man.
Brandywine wants to know, what is a black book?
In this particular case, it is. Have you ever watched those crime shows like NCSI or Law and Order, and a detective is talking to a potential witness, and they reach into their suit jacket, and they reach into that pocket, and they pull out this little book, and they flip over the top cover, and they start taking notes. Or when these patrol officers doing the same thing. That's the black book that's being discussed here. So it was Kevin's black book from 2010 that is being put out there. There are a lot of people that don't know the accused, though. That's I'm glad you said that, Patrick. It can be hard to remember that when you're conversing with so many people, because it just seems like everybody knows everybody. I've sat in jury voir, and no way they will be able to seat unbiased jury. OKC will be an ideal place. I hope so. We'll see what happens.
Mhm.
We will
Yeah,
certainly listen.
Lisa, so I would be one of those kind of people, like, I mean, well, I've already found these people guilty, there's enough there, but I am one of those because I do like the facts. I could sit on a jury and
Mhm.
just only listen to what's being presented and put
Yeah.
everything else aside. I definitely could do something like that, although I don't wanna ever have to be on jury duty for something like this. And Witty Kitty, I like your name. I
That's
think they're
cute.
strategically not airing much information on news downstate in case they have to pull a jury there or move the trial. That's interesting.
Mhm.
The
The
next
next
hearing, the defense asked for all of them to be there in the same time. How will that work?
Oh,
That's a good question. I don't know how that's gonna work. I hope they put this on court TV. I hope they do too. I hope that they will
man, that would be
allow
awesome.
I hope they'll allow cameras in there. Um, if they do, we'll stream it. If they're not going to, then I guess I'll be there at court every day.
I hope it's closer to home than what it is right now.
Yes, me too.
'Cause
I'd
I'd
like
like to
to
be
know
there
more
for it.
about the judge who was in charge of the custody. What was the relationship with Tiffany? So the Judge Larson that did the custody orders.
Mhm.
Mainly all we know about the relation I don't think that they had a good relationship at all.
Not if
I
she had to
think
be put in protective custody. But
exactly, yeah, she had to be put in protective custody as soon as this happened. My understanding, she's also had to step down from some cases. I don't know that, like, factual, I haven't looked into it, but that's what I'm being told. But I don't think that they had any kind of little friendship, it wasn't anything like that at all.
Mhm.
Epstein
Yeah.
kept the black book, yes, he did.
Different kind of
Blech,
black book.
yuck.
Different kind. More along the lines of what we would kinda think, but still wrong. It's still very wrong. Leroy, I like your ability to play devil's advocate with a little bit of humor. I'm enjoying that.
Yes. Oops. Did Paul have a court date with the 4 of them, or did he have a separate one? Well, this last time they were all separate, but they're wanting the next one, they want all 5 to be there with their attorneys at the same time.
Mhm.
But so far, they've all been separate hearings. Have there been any requests by media yet to publish the trial hearings? Not that I know of, but when it gets close to that time, the media absolutely will be trying to get that done.
Mhm.
Especially like Court TV or any of those, they
Oh,
will.
yeah.
But that's gonna be up to the judge if he's gonna allow that or not, and I just don't know.
Yeah, the judge would there'll be a they'd have to do a motion with the
Mhm.
co-defendants. Um, I can't think of the term of it right now, but that would be a motion for the court if they're gonna try them together or separate. I don't and I guess Oklahoma could be different. It might be required that they try them separately in Oklahoma, but I don't know. We need our little lawyer friend that used to come on here all the time. She always would be able to answer these questions.
Yes. Yeah, and somebody just sent me a message, that courtroom is too small for all of them and their attorneys, and it
Yeah,
is. I don't know how they're gonna do that. And it will be hard, but can be done. I believe just judicial system will prevail. I do too. I have faith in our judicial system.
I'm patient and tolerant.
Can someone get a hold of Paul's ex-wife in Alaska? I'd like to see if
Oh,
she'd be
ho,
willing to
ho,
talk through
ho.
you all, if she wanted to share anything. We have not
Uh,
reached out to her.
I'm
Um,
not sure I would it's interesting, right, for
it would be interesting to talk
I
to
don't know if
her
it's
and get
applicable.
yeah, like, who is this guy? Because
And
we just don't have a whole lot of information on Paul at all.
no,
Like, no family or friends that have usually we'll have family or friends or somebody will be messaging us, information, and we just haven't heard much about Paul at all. So
I'll think about it. Let me, it hadn't been on my radar to even
it
go that way.
right. It would be an interesting conversation, it'd be interesting to be able to share. On the other hand, she has nothing to do with this case. Normally, that's we wouldn't reach out to you know, somebody like her she's just trying to get away from him.
Yeah. Yes.
She just filed, to get full custody of the child. So
Yep.
she might not be able to talk much anyway because of that. But
I don't know. The conspiracy charges we tried together. Yeah, they go to court the same day, but separately. It's got to be because of that courtroom. So
I think the trial, I think they'll all be separate. I don't think it's going to be together. I mean, I'd be surprised if it was, but
I'd imagine if I was a betting woman, I would imagine they'll try Paul separately because he's already confessed, and I would be surprised if he's tried at all, if he doesn't just change his plea. And Core would be the other one I'd be concerned about.
mhm.
I know there's power in numbers, but I'd like to talk to somebody who's familiar with Oklahoma law, specifically criminal law, to understand what the strategies look like for this. I thought Tad's ex filed to get full custody, but I thought Paul's ex was years ago removed and left and moved far away. There was uh, Tad and his ex are still in a custody battle. In fact, there is paperwork out there where it essentially breaks down very loosely to, oh look, you're in jail. You've been charged with something. I'll just take our child. And Tad's like, nope, I'm innocent. And I'll prove it to you by filing for continued custody. And so it looks like it's part of his strategy.
Yeah,
Paul's
both
ex,
of those ex-wives have filed for full custody now.
yes, yep. And then Paul's ex, um, they had a custody battle. Paul actually had to go to Alaska, to my understanding. I'd have to prove it, but Paul had to go to Alaska to see that
He
child. But I
did.
don't know.
Yes, he did.
My understanding is that child is in Alaska with
Mhm.
the mom. But
That's correct, yes.
yeah, I think that Cora and a couple others may turn state's evidence and plead out. I would not be surprised if Cora and Paul, I might
Mhm.
even throw Cole in there after they get some insight from their attorneys, right? After you hear, I don't know, I don't think they got involved in what they thought they were getting involved in. I wouldn't be surprised if they felt brainwashed. Not, and that doesn't excuse them. It
Right.
explains it. There's a difference.
Fancy as said they will still get life without prison. Yeah, I think they all will, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Cora or Paul plead at all.
Hmm.
Tad has the intelligence of a toad.
I've heard him called tadpole. I think that's the term I've heard used for him. So yeah, so great. It's awesome. And I don't think I have anything more on my end. But is there anything more in the chat before I move over to the last slide?
I don't think so.
Then let's move over to the last slide because there's some exciting stuff. So the next time we go live, the next time Carrie Moody True Crime goes live, I should say. Again, if there's any updates on Veronica and Jilian, the situation they're in, we'll bring those to you. Any new documents, any new articles, anything like that. But always caution. Always remember caution with this event because it is just in and of itself something to be cautious of. If there's updates to other case, I am going to start really getting into the Chance Engelbert case. That one still weighs on me, and I think about it quite a bit throughout the week. That one bothers me a lot. I have
Yes.
questions. So I have reached out to a few. I'm not getting any responses back. I'm sure people are tired of strangers reaching out, but we'll keep trying. So I don't know, Carrie, do you have any other cases that we've presented already that you might be looking
No.
into or we might be looking into?
No, Chance is one, and then, I've been doing a deep dive on Jarrett Brooks.
Okay.
He went missing last July 4th in Arizona, and there's a lot of strange, things with that case, with the parents. I mean, I don't have a stance on it one way or another at this point,
Right.
but there's been a lot of work already done on it, and so I'm spending time going through all of that, but I think that you guys will find that case very interesting as
Yeah.
it definitely has all the twists, turns, and everything else you can think of in it. But yeah, I think he's 15 and he went missing last July 4th.
So there's the case
Lynn
of the
was
gold.
asking about,
Oh,
will there be court on the 19th since that's a federal holiday?
I wouldn't think so.
I wouldn't either, but
Yeah, the
that's the
courts,
date
the
they scheduled
feds,
it in.
yeah. Then I don't know. That I wonder if they realize that's what they've done. I don't know. And yes, the Gods Misfits. There
Mhm.
is. I don't know about North Carolina, but New Mexico.
Yes, New
That's the
Mexico.
origination of it. It's a biker ministry group, Feed Homeless. Yeah, they're not bad folks. I found those. That's where I realized I had messed up at, and I tried to go back to care. I'm like, oops, that's my bad. There's actually a good version. And so,
Yes, and they are
yes,
good.
they are. Yeah. Which case? What? Which case? You tell us. We'll tell you then. And then I want you to tease. Isn't there another thing you've got coming up?
Well, the Jarrett Brooks case,
Is
and
that the Jared Brooks
hopefully,
case? Okay.
uh-huh. Yeah, and hopefully we'll have a special guest that has a ton of knowledge on it. Um, that's the hope. So maybe next week-ish, I'm
Yep.
thinking. It's gonna take a lot of time for me to go through all the information that was already collected, interviews and things like that,
Hmm.
that I was sent. So there's a lot of information on the Jarrett Brooks case. However, he's not been found. So
Oh boy. Sorry about not remembering Juneteenth. I have brain damage, bad memory from a severe accident. So dates get. Oh boy, that's no fun. I hope you.
well, I don't even have that problem and I still get everything mixed up. So
Doesn't have that
you're not
problem. She has that
alone.
problem.
You're not
And
alone
which
at all.
which Pine Needle, you're asking me about which case? Are you talking about Chance Engelbert? If you are talking about Chance Engelbert, I'll do a real quick and dirty of Chance. Um, 5 years ago, Chance and his wife went to visit her family in Gearing, Nebraska, and they lived in Wyoming. Not terribly far. I think it's 3 or 4 hours. At any rate, it was for Fourth of July weekend. Chance was going to be starting a new job on that following Monday because he'd been laid off from his other job. So celebrating the holiday weekend, they did 4th of July, and then he and his male in-laws, his father-in-law and brother-in-law, they went golfing. And there were some things said that Chance found to be not nice or upsetting or whatever. And Chance's wife picked him up. They got into what appears to be some sort of communication that was not also friendly. And if you ask the wife, it was Chance took everything out of proportion. As soon as Chance and his wife got to the place they were staying, which was the wife's grandmother's, Chance took off walking because he wanted to go home. That's what he told his wife. Got in the car, I want to go home. And so as soon as he got pulled into the drive, because he was the passenger, he got out of the car and started walking. Within a few minutes, he gets on the phone with his wife. The wife calls him, I think, and says, "Hey, where are you?" And he's like, she says that he tells her he's heading south to one area, but he is seen in the complete opposite area. He called his best friend, said, "Find me somebody to meet me in this other town." That town was it was a several mile walk. It was a several hour walk. It was a long ways away, but he apparently was that ticked. They found somebody to go try and get him. And then bottom line is he went missing. Wife and her family says that he probably was taken advantage of by the oncoming storm that evening. But there are other conversations that people feel very strongly about that we're going to be looking into. And so Chance was a new father. He had a newborn son. His name was Banks. And things have not gone well since. So that's the case that I want to go deep dive. I've been made privy of that case about a year ago. It's always been one of those, it's like this case, it just weighed on me. There's something told me you need to go look into that. So I'm going to go drag Carrie through that mess. If I've lost Carrie or I'm lost, one of the two. So, but
No, I
that's
was trying to,
that case.
I was gonna pull up a
Oh,
picture of Chance real quick.
oh yeah, he's a good-looking kid. He's I don't remember how old he was when I think he was 25 when he went missing. So that is the one I have, and I've got a cousin that doesn't live too far from the area, so I've got some, and I'm prepared to go boots on the ground with that one. I have
Yeah.
a I have a lot of interest, lots of interest on that one. So stay tuned. And then Carrie, I put that last thing on there. I only put that on there, that featured missing unsolved, because the other group, the sister group to the Jilian, the Justice for Jilian and Veronica group, is the Carrie Moody True Crime group. There's a lot of information that's coming through there, lots of missing persons, a couple of found persons. And so I didn't know if, as the lives continue, if you wanted to feature the most recent one that is on the Facebook group here. I didn't give her that, I didn't give Carrie that note before now, but that's what that was about. I was too focused on trying to figure out how to get through those darn slides that I did well and jacked up on at the same time. And look, that's Chance. That is Mr. Chance Engelbert. And that's his wife, Bailey, and their son, Banks.
So he was 25 years old when he disappeared on July 6th.
No trace, no nothing. There's some video footage of him walking in front of different businesses and the direction that his best friend said he was going, but no evidence to show that he was going in the opposite direction that his wife said he was going in. So it's a very interesting case as far as I'm concerned.
Yes, it is.
And it's kind of those things in Carrie and those other parents out there with kids this age. I've got a kid this age now. And it's just like, oh, I have some heartstrings that are being pulled at with this one.
Definitely. Yes, definitely.
So that is what.
So I'll post all of those search warrants in the big Facebook group for this case. That way, any of you that haven't seen them, you can see them and what have you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pine Needle, just go back and watch everything. Pine Needle's like, I have no idea what's going on. Just go back and watch us.
And if you haven't yet, please give the video a like. That does help a lot, and we appreciate it. And also, about a week ago, I started putting these lives out on a podcast, so you can also listen to most of these lives on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever. If you just do search for Carrie Moody True Crime, and then you can listen to it as a podcast if you prefer.
Outstanding. We cover everything. I heard the cooks and the pastors are pastors of the Misfits. Their daughter is married to one of the Cole Twombly relatives and also tried to renounce citizenship. I don't know about the renounce citizenship part. I don't know about the pastor part. She did renounce it too.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that one of the daughters of the cooks is married to Cole Twombly's son, Frank.
Yes.
Yes, they are married. That one is, yes. So hopefully, and I know there's been a couple of marriages for that family, so they've had some positive things happen for them.
Excuse me.
It's so interesting that cases that tug at our hearts agree. Rachel Morin is one I can't get out of my head. My daughter lives in Maryland, and I worry. I'm familiar with that name, Pine Needle. Tell me about it. Reach out to send me a message on that one.
Yeah, and it is hard. Like there's so many that tug at you, and I get messages every day. Will you cover this? We cover this. Well, some are hard to cover if there's not much information or if people aren't willing to talk. So that's always a problem. But trying to decide which ones to cover is not easy because there's so many, and they all are important. So usually I go with like those that are most interesting to me, and hopefully you guys will find them, just as interesting, because then it gets, the name and the photos and what their situation can get out to more people. But anyway, I don't have anything else, Tara, unless you do.
It's hopped up a storm. Everybody's tired of my voice.
And I love your little new emoji. That's cute.
If I hadn't lost my other one, but that's why we were late. If I could be honest, I was like, where's my emoji? Because I switched out. So there she is. I can't find my old one. I don't know how I stored her, but there's the new one. That's the new and improved me. She looks a little AI-ish, a little fake-ish, but she represents.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, goodness. I think that's all, isn't it?
I think so. Until next time, yeah.
All right. Well, again, please hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, it costs you nothing to subscribe. And if you do, and you hit the bell, then you'll get notifications when we do go live.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, and I appreciate all of you being here. Thank you to
Yeah.
the mods. Our chat, I always say, is, it's always great. The people in the chat are great people, and
Yeah.
it's so rare that we have any kind of issues. So I appreciate you guys always being so respectful and stuff to each
Oh, yeah.
other and to us in the chat. It helps a lot. It helps a
It
lot to
does.
not have a bunch of trolls and things like that. So, thank you to the
Absolutely.
mods. Thank you to everybody that joined us. We do appreciate you very much. And I will upload those search warrants into the group here just as soon as we finish this live. So, you can go find them there under the files tab. It's where they will be.
Outstanding.
All
Thank you guys
right.
so much, and thank you, Carrie. I appreciate you letting me have a little bit of the spotlight tonight.
Yes, thank you. That was
So
great
much.
to not have to do all that work. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, "Oh, this is easy breezy." I
I'm like,
liked
"I
it.
love doing this. This is so great." And I'm like, "I'm building all this stuff for Carrie. She's gonna love it. It'll be easy." And she's like, "Hey,
Yes.
you're presenting." I'm like, "What? I'm doing what? Oh, I
Well, and
okay."
it's time consuming. I mean, people don't realize how much time goes into just even preparing for a live.
Yeah,
There's
it's,
a lot of work if unless you're just gonna sit there and ramble about stuff, which is not that's not what we do. So
it's it's good times. I
yes,
love
the
that time needle.
sunflowers. All right, you
So,
guys. Thank you again. Everybody have a wonderful evening. And we'll see you over in the Facebook group.
yes.
And until next time, thank you so much. Take care of each other, yours, and be kind.
Good night, folks.
All right. Night night. Thank you, Tara.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.